is a political science student. So Mike, can you hear us, man?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So if people are not aware, there is a what's the name that's being presented, police reform that's primarily focused on the fact that talk about systemic racism within policing and things as such. And I think that it's an overstretch to talk about systemic racism because there are many instances of police brutality where it could be the same race, same sex, and I think that is there racism within policing? I believe there's all forms of evil of people behind the badge. But look, just go ahead, give us your thoughts. I know your time is limited because we have other people that want to call in.
Yeah,
If you're able to, man, keep your phone still so we can see your face.
yeah, my bad. I was outside. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna sit down. I see a
Okay.
chair right here. I was just on a walk or not, um, but yeah, basically, you feel me. The bill you're talking about, I think, if I remember correctly. Well, let me answer your direct question first. Do I think there's racism embedded in the policing system? I definitely do. However, is that the only evil? No, it's not. It's just it's one of many. From what I've been seeing, I believe racism is one of the symptoms of the sickness that America has. It's a symptom. However, um, again, and I'm not saying this to diminish anything, it is a very serious sickness. Black people are in danger of that. However, is that the only symptom? Is that the only sickness? No. Um, I believe, and you also said something else that when it comes with policing, the white man's getting his ass kicked too. However, um, you have a faction of white people that are back to blue. Um, well, all you have to do is comply. They're kind of, and I'll just say it, they're cucked by that so hard that they're literally ignoring the fact that the police is kind of whooping on you too, and that they sometimes that they be dead wrong with it too, like it, but I feel like a lot of people they don't want to contradict themselves by saying, "Oh, well, I mean, well, you know, black people, maybe you guys are right about this one."
So
But
so what are your thoughts on like what type of police reform do you believe should happen? Like, um, just like from your perspective,
um,
if any.
from my perspective, oh, well, I heard a saying a couple years ago that I agree with it. And I think this kind of started back in 2020 when with the whole George Floyd episodes. And I'll say this is kind of reminding me of George Floyd. I kind of feel like we're being put in a time loop. I'll explain why later. But I heard a phrase back then. Back when people were saying defund the police. I don't think the police should be defunded. That's objectively that's a horrible idea. Now, should they be detoxed? Absolutely. Um, but there's a thing that's called qualified immunity that essentially, if people don't know what that is, essentially qualified immunity kind of is what, well, when people's like, well, how come cops get to think they can just do anything? Qualified immunity. Um, so essentially, I can do, and I'm being hyperbolic, but essentially, I can do anything as long as I can say it was related to my job. Well, why did you shoot that guy? Oh well, if I didn't shoot that man, then it would have interfered in me doing police work. In a grand nutshell, that is qualified immunity. So my thing is, if not getting rid of it, reducing it.
Yeah, I think it's a slippery slope to when you bring up police reform because and I think this was so avoidable. So I want to kind of share this with the audience. So just in reference to that devil, this dude has pleaded guilty twice to driving under the influence prior to becoming a police officer. He served at 6 different departments in 4 years, and he left the army after only 19 months. And I'm an army vet myself, so when I see that, I instantly think how did the hiring process not see that? And hey, thank you for joining in, man. I might have to bring because we have other people that want to call in, man. So I do. If you could stay on and listen, man. If you got the link, but I'm gonna bring you back on probably later. But I do want to thank you, Mike, for coming on, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Um. So fellas, I mean, so when you see that, right? What do you think, Derek? I mean, you work in education. I work in cybersecurity. Steve, you work in the real estate business. I just feel like that. Why is it that the amount of effort we have to go through to get into our line of work? If we had a DUI, we wouldn't be working in our fields.
Mhm.
And imagine if you jump in schools every 6 different districts in 4 years. Something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when you get kicked out the military or you didn't serve a contract, I don't know of any contract that's 19 months.
Wow. It's always that feeling of, we were always told as younger people that, we have to work 10 times harder as our white counterparts to just progress to, up one level, and, it just goes back to, how blacks are viewed. It just goes back to the lack of value that white America has placed on blacks, as if we are, inadequate in every way possible. We don't know anything. Pretty much you might also go back and say, hey, the old racial slurs that, they're monkeys, this, and this, because we were never ever given any value by way of white America, by way of the white man. I know as it pertains to the Constitution, I think we are referred to as what is it, 3/4? So it's like, how do you consider a person 3/4? So it goes back to just the foundation, man. The rhetoric from the foundation has always been just appalling to me. Like, we've never been looked at as humans. They look at us as animals, and every negative connotation they can place on a black person, they do. So all of that, those mindsets have been generationally passed down, and it translates in every aspect of life because there's a white person at the helm, pretty much, of every business, and pretty much is damn near every gatekeeper. So, if you don't come with your game tight, and even come with your game tight, you may still end up, damn near bottom of the barrel. And, it's just unfortunate for our people.
So you believe more so in that systemic racism when it comes to that?
Oh yeah, it's all this stuff, fellas. In my opinion, it's all foundational. This stuff ain't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Bible. They say there's no new sin under the sun. Ain't nothing new. This is all. It's just modernized.
I would say, like to that video, the young lady who lost her life. A lot of people were shocked. I was talking to someone earlier today, and they were shocked that that happened. But I was just saying, yo, it's 2024, and we have body cams now. Imagine how it was before then, in the 50s and 60s, when there wasn't no body cam.
Mm-hmm.
This was just like regular. It's just now because you got hashtags, you got social media, you got social justice. Now it's like to the forefront when people are seeing actually how we've been treated, and minorities too of that nature. But man, if you look at the 50s and the 60s, like I said, there wasn't no camera. So if something happened like this,
That was normal.
no word against it.
Yeah.
You think they're gonna believe?
They taking the white man's word
You know what I
every
mean?
time.
Any move you make, they feel unsafe, they feel nervous or something like that. You was losing your life, or
Mm-hmm.
they might just be racist or have a vendetta or whatever. But it's like this isn't new. It's just new to some people because they're seeing it with their own eyes, and seeing is believing. Before my day used to tell me stories, and we'll see the movies all the time about stuff like this happen. You get pulled over,
Mm-hmm.
they think you reaching,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? But now it's like you're actually seeing it, and people are like, "How could this happen? What do you mean? It's been happening."
Yeah, it definitely has been happening.
I think that I do believe, and I try to be careful when I say systemic racism, just because I think that means it's like built into the system, like laws and things as such, or say like that's held it back. I do believe that there are people who are inherently racist that may hold positions, right? I think that they put on the badge, but I also see that there are, excuse me, and anybody remember Tyree Nichols?
No.
Tyree Nichols. So let's see if I go ahead and view a source. So Tyree Nichols, and I don't want to play this whole video. Understand? Yes, I wish to proceed. Tyree Nichols, young brother, who was killed, and he was beat by some police officers.
Yeah, Memphis.
Yep.
Yes, Memphis. Yes.
And
yes.
Again, I'm going past it, but the
injuries. 5 officers have been fired.
They were all black officers. So I say that we can't just focus on a color thing and say it's racism. I think that sometimes when people have a position of authority and power, they can, I genuinely say, abuse it. Just like how they did. It's no different with the evil. I feel like that if you put on that badge and you utilize that to conduct evil, you should be held to the law by standard. Like, I don't know the motivation of that devil that went into Sonya's house, but I know she felt it. I know she felt something was off with this guy. He could have been racist. Hell, he could have been sexist. He could have been having a bad day. Whatever it was, the level of escalation went so fast. That's like if I accidentally bump into Derek and he get up and choke the hell out of me. It's like, how did it get here? Like, that's how fast the escalation went in that home. Like, he felt like an NPC. I said that in the video that I made. But the point I'm making when it comes to police reform, right? How do you prevent that? Because I don't believe in defunding the police, because I believe that
they're needed.
We need the police.
Yeah, we need it.
I don't believe when they say demilitarize the police, because were they supposed to go in there with batons?
Mm-hmm.
What I do believe is that seeing that devil was able to land a job and they seen no pattern, that's an issue. There's a buddy that I went to school with. I won't say his name. Those who know. He went and got into law enforcement. He's a brother. Went to Colonel White with me. It was cool. But he was engaged in an activity in all these police departments where he was like linking up with women and basically coercing them to have sex with them, right? These were women that were like, he would pull over. Maybe they had a DUI, or you say basically like, you dropped on panties, you could get out of this. Dead serious.
That's wild.
So he was doing this, got fired, finally caught up with him. He's spending the rest of his life in prison. Now, again, when they go back to it, they always say, well, there was issues at this job, at this job, at this job. Like, how are we protecting people from being able to, with these situations, get into these positions of power? Because if we look at him, those DUIs, going to so many different departments, he couldn't even get through the Army. How did you make it to out here patrolling the streets?
I would say, let me cook for a minute. I would say too, and apologize to the SAC community. I was trying to actually get a officer to give his perspective on maybe.
I sent the link. Did he not get it?
Yeah, something's wrong with the link. He's not getting it. It's saying something weird when he tries to log in, so we may not be able to get him for him.
You could just state what he was going to say.
I don't know what he was going to say. Like,
oh, okay.
He was going to give his opinion live for the first time. Like,
okay.
I'm going to save it for it.
Okay. Okay.
I apologize. We may not be able to get him on, but nevertheless, so if we're talking about issues, how to police reform, like I said, I'm like you. I don't think we need police officers. Let's just be honest. Like, we need that. Maybe some more realistic training. So maybe different training. Maybe they need to redo the training that they have. So something like this scenario,
right?
And then maybe where you're going to be doing police work in your community, get comfortable around your community.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick story. So when I was living like in the hood, some badass kids, man, broke into my car, but they busted the windows. So of course I called the police, and there was a problem around the hood. Matter of fact, it was right across the street. You know where I used to live, across the street from your mom.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, when I called the police, of course, there's little that they can do, but they was like, hey, and they was from the community. They were like, hey, if you catch them next time, these little badass kids, we let the neighborhood correct the neighborhood. So if you want to give them a couple shots and you know what I'm saying, and they were white, they were like, hey, No problem with it because they know they're bad as hell. They doing something they ain't supposed to do. So they was like, hey, if you want to kind of touch them up, and which I wasn't, but they was like, if you want to kind of, handle it how you handle it, we good with that. And
How
see, he was comfortable in the neighborhood. He was comfortable with me. It's I think that's a good thing. You know how to police within your neighborhood, and you're comfortable with that community.
how old do you think those police
those kids
officers
was
were?
like,
No, I'm talking about the police officers.
Oh man, they were probably
Were they-
mid-30s.
Oh, okay.
One was like
Oh,
mid-30s,
okay.
The other one might have been like early 40s.
Okay.
Both white guys.
Yeah.
So,
No, I asked that because that's an interesting response. Like,
I know.
You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was literally
they're like, oh,
I was like, word, but yeah, that's what he said because that neighborhood was having problems with these badass kids.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, when I was that age, I was busting windows on home, bro. So like, I get it, but I'm on the other side. It pissed me off because I'm like, you gonna bust my window? Yeah, I used to do that same shit.
Oh man, we was egging cars and doing all types of
But-
stuff.
yeah.
I kind of want to. Go ahead, Steve.
One more. So I want to share this with y'all on the Wayside of a podcast. And you know when people see those videos of people pulling out the videos when they get pulled over by the cops saying, "Let me speak to your superior.
Mm-hmm.
You I'm not giving you my ID." Man, so dig this. I was in Columbus, right? With a shorty on a date. It went well. We drove back to her spot and we just sitting in the car just talking, rocking. It's like 1:30 in the morning. Now, kid you, I'm dressed nice. I'm not hood, nothing like that. The young lady, she is too. I'm in the vet too. So I'm just setting so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Man, so we just, and the lights is on, the car's on, the lights is on. You can see us. We just chilling. Man, a cop ride past. He gets out the car. He knocks on the window and he starts questioning what we doing. What y'all doing? Well, it's been complaints about kids in the neighborhood. And this is the luxury apartment complex. White cop, younger than me, probably in his 20s. So he and he got the light all on us. We like this, just like in the movies. And he so Buddy asking for our IDs. And the young lady is she's like Indian. She's not black. I'm black. So I had my hands like this, man. Buddy had his hand on his holster, and he kept telling me I'm making him nervous. You making me nervous. You making me nervous. And I'm like, yo. So I put my hands on the steering wheel, like, yo, I'm trying to make it home to my kids. I end up giving him my ID. The young lady did too. He didn't even run our IDs because I've had my ID ran before. They literally go back to the cruiser. They sit there and they wait for everything to come back.
Yeah.
Buddy looked at it, looked at hers, said a little something on his thing, and didn't even have it for a minute and gave it back to us. But he said he stopped us because it was kids and all that. And I'm like, why would I be breaking into a car and I'm sitting inside the vet, clean cut, dressed nice? There's no what other car am I gonna break into? And my headlights are on. So if I'm breaking into a car, would my headlights be off? Wouldn't I be all black? Wouldn't I be kind of?
I'd been gone by now.
Discreet, exactly. But really, I think he did profile. But the fact that Buddy was nervous, it was a white cop, man.
Yeah.
And he was younger. And kid you not, he kept his gun on his hand on his gun.
I think it's too many scary people with badges, man.
Yeah, I like that.
I think it's people who really, who are really afraid of confrontation. Who, like, if they didn't have that weapon on them, they wouldn't even say anything. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like they have this little flex. They probably was bullied in school or, never really was good at something. So now they feel like they have this superiority that they don't know how to de-escalate things. My squad leader, he was a federal investigator. Excuse me, he is a federal investigator, but he used to be a police officer, like actually patrolling. And one of the biggest skill sets that he talked about that he focused on was communicating with people.
Yeah.
Because some days you may have to arrest people, but a lot of times when you see these issues happen, and again, I'm not talking about instances where people are going crazy, but when police are just escalating things, sometimes calming down, sitting down, taking your emotions out of it, trying to with regards to Sonya, she called the police.
Right.
She called you guys there. Like, how did you even go there with your guard up?
Buddy was nervous.
Yeah, like he was so nervous. He had his hand on the weapon. I think the other guy should get fired too. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Derek.
I don't think that they were nervous, guys. I don't think they was nervous. I think the points that y'all just brought up, that is the root cause. I don't think these guys, because here's the thing. Y'all walked around the house. You secured the property.
Right.
You made sure that the scene was safe. Okay. And then you questioned about the vehicle. what prompted the other cop, and this was just my takeaway, was that the bigger guy who pulled the trigger, we're not saying his name, but when she was responding, he did not like the way she was responding as just period.
What she
Right.
said.
Yeah. He didn't like how she was speaking, period.
Yeah, he was just so irritated.
Yeah. That irritated his soul because of his personal disdain for whatever it was that she was saying. So now that prompted us to now need to come inside the home. Okay, but your job is done now. I'm safe. And I think I recall her stating something about she had just taken her medicine or something about mental or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said that.
So now that was that. Now, are you interpreting mental, or are you wanting to go in the house to see if there's some drugs in there?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So I don't believe that it was any of that. It was you just being a person. You just been a jerk because you wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, those cops that we talked about in Memphis, it has nothing to do with the badge, because y'all would have did that without the badge.
Right.
You and your boys was together. Y'all would have did that without the badge. So the reform for police needs to be very intentional, and it really needs to go beyond surface deep as to, like, you need to be some psychological tests.
Thank you.
And everything that are going on, man. Because I mean, like, these things that are happening, these are happening based off how I personally feel. You know, I personally feel, oh, Steve, he walk in with his shirt on. Oh man, I'm gonna try him. Why? Steve didn't say nothing to you.
Right.
But just because, like Drew said, when I was in school, it was a basketball player, a wrestler that always did this and messed with me. And so now I feel like I'm him now. I'm gonna try Steve.
Do you think if they did do like strict tests like that, it'll be even harder to become a police officer?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yes.
I think that if I think psychological evaluations need to be done. Here's the thing. I think police officers, for one, need to get paid more, and I think it needs to be a lot harder to become a police officer.
Yes.
Because I feel like the incentive is that, hey, you get on, you do have because they put their lives on the line. If something were to happen, I still feel comfortable contacting the police. I had an experience as well, and I shared this before, where I had a police officer pull me over right in front of the Dayton Mall. I didn't know my license was suspended. It was a technicality. And he was so mean to me, man, like yelling at me, like, give me your keys. And I'm just like what is going on? Like, I'm like, bro, like, he's like, give me your keys. You want to go to jail? I'm like shaking. Like, I was like 21 or 22 at the time. So I handed him my keys. He made me get out. I actually had to call Mike. I remember I told you, it was like the next day was Mike's wedding. And I remember thinking that I could have been on somebody's shirt. I could have been, just because whatever he was mad at. I mean, I said nothing to this man. I don't know. And he literally was coming down the opposite way and like did a 180 and got behind me. I feel like that there's evil people with badges on, regardless of your color, sex. I think that they don't know how to interact with people. They don't know how to be cool, calm, collected. You can still have that job, but I feel like there's some psychological things that need to be evaluated. Also, I think there needs to be a path for snitching. And what I mean by is like, let's say that partner, right? I wish that partner was more vocal, because if him and our police officers, and he see that I'm kind of escalating it, being just out of the norm, and he'd be like, hey, bro, step outside, young. I got this. Step outside. Like, just get your hand off your weapon. Hey, I take care of this. I'm going to go ahead and close this case. I got it. I go outside, I cool down, blase, blase, blase. Then he need to be able to have a path to go report me, to be like, hey, if I wasn't there, I think he would have killed this woman. I think he would have went too far. And then he shouldn't get repercussions, or because there is a community within the blue, like if you say something, like, you could get ostracized. You get like you went against us. You did this, but it's like, think how much money is going to be paid out to this family. And not even just money, just think about the eroding of the trust in the community, that they don't even want to call you. Mm-hmm. They don't want to deal with it. They'll rather call their brothers or family to come over there. Hey, come outside, go outside, look, somebody outside. Yeah. And then if somebody outside and something escalate, then it's like, why didn't you call the police? Nah, because shit, y'all coming in there and killing people.
Yeah, in that video too, I think the guy who didn't shoot, he probably was newer than the other guy. That guy looked older. He looked like he was more on a season longer or on a force longer. Cause man, when he came in there, he said, "I wish you would." When she said, "I'll rebuke you," this dude said, "I wish you would. I'll shoot you in the face." Bro.
And no, in the fucking face.
I try not in the
Yeah.
but yeah, in the fucking face. And he did exactly that. But notice old boy didn't pull out his gun, his partner, till he pulled out his. Once old boy was checking in the room for some reason.
Yeah, he was
Then when
looking
came
around.
Back, old boy pulled out his, then his partner pulled out his. His partner never fired a shot.
Yeah.
When the shot was fired, he kind of like ducked back a little bit.
But the friend, I mean, excuse me, the partner that didn't shoot. And again, I'm going based off the body cam view because I don't know if his cam is looking this way and he's looking that way. But you could see that he had his hand on his weapon and that he was agitated in every response he was giving. Right? It's like the guy who actually, the taller one, the one who actually fired. Like he was, it's just like he was just too like emotional.
Yes.
Like, hey man, go outside. Like just chill out. Like there was no camaraderie to be like, hey bro, like come on man, we trying to be in and out. Like go back in the car and chill.
And even with the other cop, you know, as you're saying, Steve, was kind of. I'm watching this video and I'm rating all the nonverbals. And it's kind of like, you know, they looking around and, you know, like, what are you looking for? Right. I called you to secure the perimeter of my home.
I didn't say anybody was in my house.
You know what I'm saying? At this point, what are you looking for? Then even when she sat down, was like, no, hold on. I think talking to the dispatcher, you know, like. I think she did at some point now start to feel uncomfortable. Like, okay, why are y'all in my house?
Right.
Even not in her rights. I don't know if she was 100%, you know, in her right mind in those moments, but she had enough sense to know and feel like Drew said, this is a little uneasy for me. 2 white cops in my house at nighttime. What's up? Like, why we?
This is dude I want to play here in a moment because this is and it's a sad reality that's happening that there are some people, and I don't know if they're just doing that to, I don't care what the political, this ain't political, but there's some people who are saying this was justified and things such. I'm not gonna play it, but in this commentary he says a good point. He says that, you know how some people are tuned in the spirit. We talk about that in the church, like they may be able to prophesy. They may be able to just, they feel things. They sense people. They be like, hey, you need to stay away from this person. And I said that in the video when I first met it. When they came in the house, she felt so uncomfortable. She called dispatch to wonder when are police going to be there. And they're like, we're here. You can hang up the phone. She didn't feel safe. Right. Which is why she, when you heard her say, we all knew what she meant when she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Like, I rebuke this energy that y'all feel like y'all need to get away from me. Like, what do you keep saying? Y'all playing? Like, to me, it was just like, it started off as joking. Like, it could have been just joking. Like, oh, I don't want to get no hot water thrown on me. Yeah. But then it was like, it escalated to violence. But why are you guys doing it? I got to pull it up because this
video may ruffle some feathers. I don't care. I think that it needs to be discussed. And so Sonya Massey was a black woman who was shot and killed in her home by police. She actually called the police herself because she thought that there was an intruder outside of her home. So there's body camera footage, at least from the one officer. One officer did not turn his body camera on until after. The one officer did have his body camera on the whole time. So yes, there are some issues with that, but that really doesn't have any bearing on how this played out. So she called them. They came, they searched, they couldn't find anybody or locate anybody, and they were actually getting ready to go when they saw a vehicle parked in her driveway. I'm not sure all of the details surrounding that. Ultimately, I know they began to ask her about it, and they actually entered her home at that point and asked her for some identification. Again,
which is an issue in itself because they never should have been inside of her home unless they had a warrant. So I want people to understand.
We go for
probable cause to
probable cause. Yeah,
go into the home.
I kept thinking that, like, why and whoever this, shout out to Anton Daniels. If you guys are not subscribed to his channel, make sure you guys are subscribed. He drops some good jewels. Very like black wealthy young man. So hopefully I get to work with you in the future, man. We get to work with you here at the T.A.P. So go to that video, but I wanted to find a source video that he was referencing because she goes on and basically try to justify the what's his name. And here's my fear is that if some people like that can look at that and say it was justified, because he was indicted, but he still has to go to trial. Dude, it's going to be pandemonium if he gets off. It's going to be pandemonium if people look at that video and feel it was justified. And that's why I feel like that. I think some people may have race goggles on, that they're racist or sexist, or they're so protect the blue, or so. I'm on the side of what's right. I don't care if you my family. If my brother was a police officer and did that, I would be sitting on here talking about him.
Wrong is wrong. Yeah.
Wrong is wrong.
And her right there, I think it's just Cap. I think she just wants attention because if it was her family, if that was her mother, she would not feel the same way.
Right.
If it was two black cops that came in and shot her white mother, and everything played out the exact same, from seeing a suspicious car to entering the house to asking for identification, and her mother said rebuke you, and they shot her. I guarantee you a whole
She'll be singing a different
Anybody in her family, I don't even want to go as deep as to say her mother. Anybody in her white family, two black cops came in, like you just said. It's gonna be they would be in the up. It would be such a It would be a utter just poop show.
And imagine if it happened in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Does location matter? Because it happened in the hood. What if this happened?
That's why. Yes.
Like Oakwood, and two black cops came in there and killed the. Like, I think that
Yes.
area because like I said, back in the day, stuff like this happened all the time.
Yeah.
Man, if it wasn't for that body cam, they would have spent this story. It would have been
He had a knife,
or
she threw water,
ran
hot scalding water.
That's how it was back in the day.
Yeah. But that's why I was saying, they like when the cop was looking, they're looking like, what are we?
Can we find?
What are we doing? Like, what are we trying to do here?
That's like when I get pulled over. When they see, it's like they program subconsciously when they see minority.
Yeah.
Hey, what you doing? You got some identification?
Yes.
Because if it was two white people in the car, like me and old girl, and they was in a Mercedes Benz, and he was dressed like a lawyer, you think they would have?
Absolutely.
It would have been different.
I give you two. So one, I got pulled over 2 Sundays ago in Inglewood. I was throwing darts, leaving. It's over there off National Road. So
the little bar.
Who?
The little bar.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So get pulled over. I'm in the realm. I have the plastic little covering over a license plate. So he was like, it looked like I didn't have a plate. But when he pulled me over, funny thing is, as soon as he pulled up, he got behind me. I'm turning. He's in this lane to turn left. To turn left, I'm in this lane to turn left this way. So I'm great, make my move, going to the crib. He loops back on around because he sees black truck, sees truck, nice looking truck at night. So pulls up, boom. I hit all my windows instantly.
Roll them down.
I roll my windows
I'll be doing that too.
instantly. Look. I take my ID, I set it on my phone, but I pull my insurance up and I went just like this. Mm-hmm. So you can see. And the crazy thing is, in this situation, once he seen that I was legit, and obviously you ran my plate, that once you got behind me, he walked up like, Mr. White, hey, want to make sure that you have a plate, you have a good night, blase woo, and it kind of blew me because I'm like, what the hell did you pull me over? You see that when you got behind me that I had a plate.
Yeah, if he ran your tags,
he ran everything. Like, you see that I'm good, I'm legit. I got the lights back there shining on the plate. But I was like, you didn't even really need to pull me over. It was this time of night, decent truck in Inglewood, in a nice Inglewood neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And you obviously felt the need to try to investigate, but there was nothing there for you.
Yeah, I remember in Inglewood, bro, I went to jail on Thanksgiving Day.
What?
Bro, I was right in Inglewood, man, and my car was parked on the street. And I think I had a warrant because I didn't show up to court for like a speeding ticket or something like that. So they put like a bench warrant. If you don't show up to court.
Yep.
Because it was in the street, they got me. If it was in the driveway, I was good. The car was on the street. I think I was working on it, bro. I was up under the car working with something. Bro, the cruiser came. They said, hey, can you come up underneath the car? Drop the wrench. I dropped the wrench. They told me what it was. Thanksgiving Day, bro. Put my hands behind your back. I was down there. Burge was down there. in jail Thanksgiving Day. I got out later on, but it was like, and they were nice. They respectfully took my black ass to
Yeah.
jail on Thursday, dog. And like my mom was like, she was shocked, but I'm like, y'all could have literally just told me to handle it Monday.
Yeah, that's
Nope.
it.
Nope, they took me down here, bro.
I mean, and I feel like, man, there's I've had way more positive situations with police officers than I had negative ones. And when I see police reform, and the reason it hasn't passed because they talked about that reform back like during like the rise, the BLM, all that stuff was going on, and it really wasn't resonating with the entire country. Everybody agreed police brutality is bad. But when you say defund the police, I'm like, you're just going to get worse pickings because I'm not about to do that job for less money. I'm not going to do that job, be walking around with a baton and going in tough
A
communities.
whistle and blowing.
Yeah,
a whistle.
blowing whistle. Stop. Stop. You know, that's not going to happen. So it hasn't passed yet, which I believe it needs to go back to the drawing board. And I think that some people who believe no reform needs to be done, I think there's an issue with you. I think you're too on the side of like
Blinded.
like, you know, with your own biases. And if you believe that, oh man, we need to defund the police, we need to do all this, like you're really not being honest with yourself, because if you call the police right now and then it takes them an hour to get to you because they're short staffed and you know, that's a whole new problem. Or they don't have the tools to do their job, that's a whole nother problem. I personally think, no, I want to drive it out, that if with the reform, whoever wins office, whoever, like, I want them to sit down and be like, better hiring processes. I think they need to get paid more, and we need to quit seeing situations. Most times when we see these situations, it's always those officers who've been like, how did you even get on? How did you pass the interview process? How did you get through that? Because in our careers, you can't get through that. They will literally stop you at the gate, like, well, hey man, like this ain't the career for you because you can't work around children if you got that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And so we operate in a way to prevent us from losing that. Like, we don't want to engage in those type of behaviors, and we don't want to lose our careers, or you know, also because it's not right. But I feel like that when I see somebody who didn't finish their Army career, you going through all them police departments, and I just think that is it a rock solid way to prevent it? No, because people are still going to slip through the cracks. There's still going to be people, and that's why I believe with Coach D, what you're saying, that it should be psych evaluations.
Yeah,
like
an intense psych evaluation, because you're operating a tool that can take someone's life. You know, I know plenty of jobs where they're like so many layers of the interview process to where this is the final to the final to the final. You know, and that's not just for a black person. I mean, I'm just saying, just period, for some occupations. Going through police academy, and you know, I don't know what else that entails, but I know you go through the police academy and whatever else, and now you in the field.
Yeah, my wife says is all they have to do is pass a PT test to shoot their weapon.
Yeah.
Like that. Like that's what it feel like. Like, and they know like basic law, and they feel like you got the job.
But shooting a weapon, you're operating a tool that can kill someone. There needs to be a deeper psych eval done prior to you even receiving that gun and badge.
And I would say too, on the flip side, it is important. That's why reform is good, but it's important for a police presence to be in the neighborhood. When we had Dare used to come to the school, acclimated to the police, so it was comfortable. But back in that neighborhood I stayed in, man, the reason why it was so bad because it wasn't a lot of police presence, because some people in the culture don't call the police. I'm like, that's the first thing you do if you want a better neighborhood. And we too can gentrify and make properties. I'm in real estate, so when you see police presence, it's good because it deters the bullshit. And once that happens, it kind of filters who are and who isn't in your neighborhood. They don't feel as comfortable walking up and down the street doing prostitution, selling drugs and stuff like that. That makes the neighborhood change. Property values go up. Certain people want to move out. Certain people want to move in, and it's better for everybody. People have equity. So it does starts with good police presence and police that's comfortable with your neighborhood. That's why some people be like, I don't call the police. Like, are you kidding me? So you rather people come in your neighborhood, sell drugs, prostitution, shoot guns, do all that stuff. You pay tax dollars, but you won't call the police.
Yeah.
You let them terrorize your sons. Your daughters can't even walk down the neighborhood, and you won't call them because you with the culture. Man, that's not the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
But that's the thing though, Steve. I mean, you got to understand, like, that's the culture. If you think about, and I was listening to this video that Drake shared in the chat, where he talked about back in the day, the NAACP used to call out things like if there were certain lyrics in a song, or if there were, he talked about like the old movie back in the day, The Birth of a Nation, where it just basically just, or if people was playing blackface, they didn't allow stuff that would like misrepresent us or destroy the image of what our culture should really be. But now I think as more money, he talked about how they up on stage with the rappers and a lot of the things that the rappers talk about and they glorify are all the things that destroy our community. So that's why I think it's so embedded. It's easy to say you shouldn't do that. You should call the police. But right now, like if you call the police, it's like you a snitch. You a bitch.
They clone Tyrone.
Yeah.
If you have not seen that movie, just watch the movie. It has a lot of different messaging and shuns light on a lot of things that affect our culture negatively. Man, I believe it starts with the people. It do. It starts with the people and it ends with the people. Do you want a safe neighborhood? What does a safe neighborhood look like? Think about it. Do you all remember the neighborhood watch signs?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They used to be like on some like a glass pane, like this is neighborhood watch, or it was even like I think a sign that was attached to like the stop sign or something.
Yeah. Well, also, and you knew everybody in the neighborhood was like looking.
Yeah. So it was
Everybody
like
looked out for each other.
I'm not touching Steve's car, or me and Steve are not about to go. Oh man, Drew's gone for the weekend. Let's go in and try to jack his home. We wasn't doing that because we knew Miss Such and Such or the Williams that live a couple blocks up. They're always on the porch watching.
And that ties in, your daddy kick your ass.
And then
A lot of them ain't got that.
and yes, your daddy, your uncle. We knew back then it was somebody that was gonna seriously lay hands on us.
Yeah.
So it was like that's not even a thing. And then when you fast forward and you look at like even things we talk about in our group, guys, like individuals being able to read the kids, and you looking at them like, what is that, a man or a woman? Just everything that is so acceptable now.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of put it in one big pot and mix a gumbo of things that are so unacceptable, but everybody signs off on it. And in the end, the people are the ones that are not benefiting. The people are the ones such as Sonya Massey, who's losing her life because I felt unsafe and I wanted someone to secure the perimeter of my home. I'm a single woman in here by myself at nighttime. I did what I was supposed to do, and I still ended up on the short end of the stick.
Yeah, that's, and I think that's the sad part. I would hate if people were to utilize this instance to represent police officers or prevent you. I don't want that to occur. But I think there needs to be more debates happening regarding police reform. You can't ignore this. I feel like more money needs to go to paying them and getting top tier quality. I think it should be such a badge of honor. Like if somebody, it feel great to be a doctor, like all the testing they have to go through. Just imagine if a doctor, right? Imagine if a doctor was doing something like giving bad advice to. Well, sometimes they do. So, but let's say they were giving ill-advised information to their patients, or when doing surgeries, they weren't doing what they're supposed to and killing people. That's evil. And although there are outliers, people still feel comfortable with doctors. I think these type of police officers are outliers, but yes. I think that, because you never know, man. When you go into somewhere, and I've seen police officers, I watch videos where they come in these situations and it'll be hostile, and you're trying to de-escalate things. You're trying to, do it, and you have so much coming at you. It's hard. It's not easy. Right. I mean, we're all cool, calm, collected, but if somebody busts in the door and you got like seconds to react, sometimes you don't know how you would deal with things until you're presented with that situation. That's where I think that them psych evals will truly help people to learn how to deal. Like somebody cursing at you and calling you out your name doesn't warrant killing them.
I agree. If we got enough money to send to Ukraine and other countries, we have enough money to give them or pay to incentivize going through that structural training to get the right ones. Yeah, get teachers and police officers.
Oh, no, I was just getting ready to say that. I was just getting ready to say that. Yes, I was just getting ready to say that. I was just going to say add teachers to that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, education definitely needs to be on that forefront because we'll get better quality teachers who really truly care. Because the debate we had in our group that kind of said it wrong, set things astray. But if you think about it, our children spend more time with their educators than they do us, so they have more access. So don't you want the qualified teachers that's going? You ain't gotta indoctrinate them, but if you could teach them how to learn, how to educate, how to question, how to just like why learn this, like my kids right now, they're old enough to register to vote. Even though I'm conservative, I don't tell them to vote conservative. You know what I tell them? Man, question everything I tell you. Everything, I just don't even believe me. If you don't do your research, just do your own research. I don't care what your mama say. I don't care what I say.
That's fair.
Do your own research. And go based off what works for you. I'll respect you either way.
You want to know another thing that I really think will be a strong push, alongside police reform is we got to change the narrative also around being, a policeman, because it is really
like a snitch.
It's a negative stigma around being a police officer, especially for blacks.
Yeah.
And the only way to make change is to get in.
Well, you got to understand
and work your way and work the change back out.
But you understand the root to that too. That with our people, you remember like they were utilized to capture us, to take us back like to slave.
Right? No, but that's what I'm saying. We have to change that stigma around being a police officer because you're right. The first thing is for a black person, especially a black man, is I'm not, and this is just. Old school terminology. I'm not effing with them pigs, and you get that old school rhetoric because of examples like what Drew was saying. They were used to quote unquote capture us, sort of like those guys in Memphis. You all acted as the very things that we're trying not to stand for,
right?
And you took that man's life,
right?
So. We understand there's good people and bad people in every aspect and every walk of life.
Right.
But we really got to get more good in to start pushing this bad out.
Yeah, and definitely in areas where, like you said, where you work in fields where you could take someone's life.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you have access to tools and resources to where you can, even if you don't take their lives, I've seen evil police officers and I've seen where they could be white, black, and it don't matter who the sex rate. I seen them like throw drugs on people, like plant stuff.
Oh yeah,
do evil. I mean, it's just evil people that are out there, and I hope that technology gets better to capture that. I hope that a lot just stops that type of behavior. And I'll say this, and I'll close with this. YouTube world, rest in peace, Sonya Massey. Rest in peace to all victims that are subject to police brutality. Ever so often, I'm going to keep saying your name. I'm going to keep bringing it up. When I believe in social justice, I believe in having these debates. I don't care if 5 people watching. It don't matter. Eventually, the message is going to get out. People are going to understand what we stand for. It don't matter if we disagree politically or whatever. What we do agree on is what's right and what we believe God would want us to do. And I think that a human being with a soul looked at that video and just realized the evilness that still persists in our policing. And I pray that is weeded out. I pray that God comes in and continue to out those devils. And I pray that her soul is with you, Lord, and all is great. But hey, I'll let you guys, finish what you're gonna say, or whatever.
I would say take knowledge from that video, but don't let it deter you from calling the police. So, like you said, everyone is not like that. We do need the police, more so in certain neighborhoods, if you know what I mean. So, yes, that's tragic that happened, but if it's some shit happening in your neighborhood, it is your responsibility to call the police. You know what I'm saying? My dad's neighborhood, it just got shot up. Someone died. Youth, young kids, acting a fool. So it is in your best interest overall and your responsibility. If it's goofy stuff happening in the neighborhood, like they say, you see something, say something. It's your neighborhood. It's where you lay your head and your kids at. But you just have to use discernment, and it's tragic that she actually did. and what happened, but they don't represent all the police. And like Drew said, it is up internally within the shield to call out the ones, even though you might get labeled a snitch or whatever, but the bigger picture, you got to weed them out. If you see something being done wrong, step up. You got to be brave. You took the oath, right? You're supposed to protect the community. So if you see your partner acting kind of edgy, like you said, hey man, step back, I got this. You might get looked at, he might talk shit about you, but you know what, you saved the life. And if that would have happened in that situation, Sonya would have been here still with us, and her family would have been able to have her. So, you know.
Ultimately, as a police officer, as Steve just said, it's your job to protect and serve. That's what you take that oath for. That's what you stand on. And the thing of it is to be considered a snitch or, ousted outside of that department. Well, just think, when you don't say nothing, people are going to group you with those that do it. So if you are not that police officer, if you're not that person who stands on that, well, then you need to stand on the business that you represent and make sure that those around you get them out of there. Because we're going to need police officers no matter what. Families, if you're in a neighborhood, who's the gatekeepers in the neighborhood? Are we going to lay down and just keep letting things happen and just say, well, not calling the police? Or are we going to take our neighborhoods back? We cannot be afraid to take these neighborhoods back and do the right thing by our young people. They're old but yet do the right thing in the name of being safe. So with that being said, prayers for Sonya Massey's family. May her soul rest in peace. And may we as a people pick the right position to stand on, and that's what's right. So it's T.A.P. We signing out.
Hey, until next time, guys. We'll be back on in 2 weeks, but something that I think we want to talk about. If you guys just watched the Olympics and seen the portrayal of the alphabet community, what they did for the Last Supper, if that made you irritated, tune into our next episode because we're going to talk about that shit.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about
The Last Supper, it's very disrespectful, and I'm tired of playing that. God gonna have the last laugh. Until next time, guys.
Peace.